Hello and welcome everyone to another video interview with Nidal Rasheed, and today's special guest is Robert Elftmann from the Development Director. Now, today's a special one because I've known Robert for over 10 years. In fact, my first real estate job that I ever got was working alongside with Robert in an investment company here in Adelaide. And, that was over 10 years ago. And in that time, a lot has happened. We've, both gone in different directions. And Robert has now found a niche in the market that has made him very, very successful at what he does and made his clients very successful as a result of working with him as well. So Robert basically helps people find development opportunities. So he helps builders and developers find sites. He helps people wanting to invest find renovation projects. And today I'm going to pick his brains and try and extract as many golden nuggets as possible, and to share with you guys some, tips and strategies on how you guys can benefit from what he does. So without further ado, welcome on board, Robert. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, hi Nidal. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm very excited. Yeah,
Speak
with you.
Do you want to give our viewers a bit of a background on who you are? So maybe share with us your story, how you started, and what led you to where you are today.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I'm originally from Germany. Came out about 10, 11 years. Came here, fresh start in Germany. I did my banking degree. Always a keen interest in financial side of things, wanting to learn. And I pretty much came here with about $3,500 in my bank account, starting out fresh. And I started going to property seminars, started reading books, and got really inspired. And made a decision back then that real estate was the way forward for me and the career path I want to choose. And the desire, I guess, was to create financial abundance for myself, my family, people around me, and how I then can help people in that space. That was the desire and the goal. And I thought, real estate was such a great vehicle and still is to create that goal. And that's basically where I started.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. And I know over the years, you've helped a lot of people as well attain some success through real estate and investing, and particularly finding development sites where they can manufacture equity. Can you tell us exactly what the Development Director and your business does?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so we offer a service to, active property investors, developers that are looking for that profitable opportunity, and it comes in different shapes and forms. So it can be, say, a subdivision opportunity, can be a large development project, it can be a cosmetic or structural renovation. And the niche, I guess, or the specialized knowledge I have is identifying and finding that profitable opportunities, and then offering it to my clients and people I work with.
Awesome. Can you give us an example of a recent deal that you may have done? So just run us through a particular, an average scenario that you might work with on a weekly or monthly basis.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I guess it always starts off with the client, finding out exactly what they're looking for. Just a recent example comes to mind, a corner site at Glandor. So the developer ideally looking for a townhouse site. So I identified clearly what the developer is looking for, and then found that suitable opportunity, and worked on securing it successfly for the client.
Okay, awesome. And what kind of result did that client get as a result of you finding them at a site?
Just an additional profitable project that the client was very happy. It turned out to be a 4-site corner development site in that location. It's a really good deal.
Awesome. And I understand that you do you find a lot of your sites off market as well. So you not necessarily scouring through realestate.com to try and find opportunities. A lot of your deals come from off market. Can you explain to us, what other means, like how else do you find your sites?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so you're right. So I mainly acquire them off market. A couple of reasons. First, on the open market, most of the opportunities I look for, they are not really there, or not existing in the open market. Another thing, going directly to the seller and creating an off-market opportunity gives me an opportunity to explore the seller's unique circumstances, and then make an offer that just suits those circumstances or needs. And the other big advantage is dealing directly with a seller and off market is you don't have competition. You're not, if you're going for a deal on the open market, you are one bias amongst many if it's a great opportunity. And that competition you don't have if you deal directly with a seller and get an off market opportunity.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we've done some deals together, and one deal that came to mind is the one that we did in Campbelltown a few years ago, where the seller was an elderly couple. They didn't want to put their property on the market because they didn't want agents and having open inspections, and didn't want everyone to know that the house was up for sale. We worked out a deal where they were happy to sell it off market and rent back the property from the new owner for a period of time. I think it was about 6 or 12 months at the time, whilst our client got their development application through. And as a result, our client ended up making close to a 20% profit margin on the whole project, because he built 3 townhouses, and it was a very, very good win for them. And it was also a win for your clients. And, us being the guys in the middle, you working off market and, presenting opportunities that the general public wouldn't even know about, does give, people a chance to create a win-win type solution. Whereas when you are, trying to buy property that's on the open market, you're generally, up against other buyers, homeowners, investors, and really you don't have the negotiation power, or not power, but you don't have the negotiation ability like you would when you're just dealing directly with that person, and there's no agent in the middle, and there's no one in there trying to, either speed it up or manipulate the deal or anything like that. So I can completely attest to that. It brings up the question, why would someone use someone like yourself? So why should someone use your service or try and find a buyer agent to help them look for these opportunities, as opposed to them going and doing it on their own?
Yep, sure. I generally encourage anyone to have a go at property. I guess the advantage is working with someone like me is, biggest one is probably the experience. It took me many years, many meetings, negotiations to develop my skills, learn about different acquisition strategies, and then also making sure that when analyzing an opportunity, what's the development potential, get a clear understanding around the numbers, the feasibility, look through any challenges that might come up with the site, and really making sure that before anyone, be it myself or my clients, making a final purchase decision, they can make an informed and calculated decision. Because at the end of the day, that next project has a huge implication on their financial future. Doing it right, significant upside. Doing it wrong can have significant effects as well. So
yeah, no, I completely agree, because what most people don't realize is they only look at what they can make, but most people don't realize what they can lose. And especially when you're operating in the development space, if you make one wrong move, that could potentially cost you tens of thousands of dollars and wipe out your margin, and all of a sudden put you in the red. So not knowing what to look out for, what potential pitfalls to avoid, what questions to ask, what potential issues may arise, sometimes that alone is worth, the small percentage that a buyer agent would charge. So, which takes me on to my next question. Like, obviously, as a person who's been out there doing it, you've developed a lot of skills, you've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you now have a certain pattern that and certain ways that you approach looking for deals. In your opinion, like what makes a great development deal for you, and what skills should someone be looking at building up in order to get themselves to a point where you're at, where they can spot a deal and know how to assess it? So what makes a good deal for you?
Yeah, excellent. That's a great question. And it leads me to my personal definition. What's the perfect deal? And in my book, the perfect deal is an opportunity that has fantastic add value potential. So it could be, a tired or let go property that has structural or cosmetic renovation potential. It could be a great piece of land that's just zoned right for medium density. So it just has a fantastic development potential, or add value potential. But at the same time, which is in many cases more important, that opportunity has to be in combination with a motivated seller. And the motivated seller, that's, I guess, the key to making a successful property transaction happen. Because if the seller is not motivated to sell, even though they have a fantastic opportunity and the potential, you are likely not be, or most cases, you are not able to strike a successful, profitable deal.
Of course.
But if the vendor or seller has a need to sell for whatever reason, and the opportunity has a fantastic development potential or add value potential, then that's the perfect deal in my books.
Awesome. So, I mean, you can have all the skill sets in the world, but if you don't get a motivated seller wanting to sell and wanting to do a deal, then it all fizzles out. So, I mean, that brings up the question, how do you find these motivated sellers? What do you do on a day-to-day basis to get in touch with motivated sellers?
Yeah, sure. So there's a couple of, there's a number of things I look for. And to me, motivated sellers are oftentimes going through a difficult situation in their life. It could be, someone having financial distress. Maybe they lost a job, or illness is another thing, or maybe they're a family and going through a divorce, which impact their financial situation and their ability to make repayments on a mortgage. That's one strong motivation for someone to sell. Sometimes it is just a family member passing away. The person living in the property really, it might be an old house with a big block of land. They can't look after it anymore. They just need to downsize. It's just a couple of things I look for, and where I spot possible opportunities and can sense that the seller might be motivated. And in many cases, it also be putting a property on the open market with an agent. There's costs involved. There's a lot of things to consider. And working with me, it's, I guess, a very easy way for a seller, because I'm basically in a position to make them an offer on the spot, which doesn't involve much financial or no financial commitment on their side.
Oh, excellent. I mean, that brings up certain thoughts, because some of our viewers might be watching this and going, okay, well, that seems wrong to profit off someone else's misfortune. But one of the things that I always tell people is we're in a business of solving people's problems, because sometimes the person who's going through either a divorce, or there's been a death in the family, or can't keep up with mortgage payments, sometimes all they want to do is they would just want to solve that problem, because that problem, it has been created in some way, shape or form. And for them, we're helping them with dealing with one less issue in their life. So for example, selling a house is a big job. It's a big task, because you've got to, market the property. You got to do open inspections. You got to deal with agents. You got to deal with offers. You have to negotiate back and forth. There's contract signings. There's a lot of moving parts that have to take place for that deal to come together. Whereas if you can go to someone in the moment of need and say, look, I can take that problem off your hand and provide you with a solution, in many cases, you're actually doing them a favor, creating a little win for them and taking that problem off their plate. And as a result, you end up, getting an opportunity as a result of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's a very important point you raised there. For me, I'm never looking to take advantage of anyone. I acknowledge that they might go through a difficult situation in their life, but I'm always looking to create a win situation for them as well, solving a huge problem for them, but also leaving them with a really good result at the end. So win-win situations is very, very important to me.
Absolutely. Look, I believe as an agent, if you can create a win-win, so one for either party, then you get a win by default. If you help people get what they want, you'll get what you want just by being, the person that's helped them achieve that. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, excellent. I mean, look, you've got a lot of skills and value and things that you've, built up over the years. For the person who's starting out today, for that person who's looking at getting started on their investment journey right now, and, they might be getting overwhelmed with the idea of dealing with sellers and builders and developers and, running feasibilities and understanding finance. And there's a lot that goes into putting a deal together. what would be your top tips for someone who's wanting to get started in that property investment space or that property development space?
Yeah, sure. I'll probably recommend the same thing that how I started and most other people started, just looking for specialized knowledge, information, attending seminars, reading books. And there's a significant amount of information available online that people can find, and just starting on that. But then learning and studying is as important as putting things into practice, like going to open inspections, understanding markets, as maybe having a go at negotiating or contacting a seller. So to me, learning is one thing, but applying knowledge, that's, I guess, the key to it all. And I wouldn't be where I am today if I wouldn't have gone through hundreds of meetings with sellers, learning experiences. And I made some really bad mistakes at the beginning that I had to learn as well. Just building that knowledge base through experience, I guess.
Absolutely. And don't be scared of the hard work, because
That's right.
no matter what it is that we do in life, whether it's property or whether it's owning any other kind of business or anything that you do, you're always going to have the challenges and the obstacles and the things that are going to test your willingness to keep pursuing.
Exactly.
And I find, I was just talking about this the other night with a friend of mine, is that most people have these goals and these ambitions, but when they start pursuing them, generally they're going to have that first obstacle come up as a test to see whether they're going to push through or not. And the only thing that separates people that succeed from those who fail is really their persistence and their willingness to keep pushing back, even when they have these challenges come up. And
that's right, exactly right.
Because look, from the outside in, people that don't work in real estate or don't work in property might look at what you and I do and think it's a glamorous industry. These guys make a lot of money without having to work very hard, and they get to go out and they're always networking and things like that. But most people don't realize the amount of work and effort and energy and the commitments and sacrifices and the amount of seminars and self-education and all those things that you got to go through over the years to get yourself to a point where you are half capable of putting a deal together, let alone
that's right, exactly. And the temporary disappointments, like the amounts of times I've missed out on a good opportunity, but it never stopped me on going on and going for the next opportunity, because eventually you do get a good deal.
Absolutely. And that does come down to the mindset and the psychology that we carry, because in a previous video I was talking about how 80% of our success is attributed to the psychology and the mindset that we have, and only 20% is really on the strategy. So what you and I teach people and do is only the 20%. If they can't maintain that strong mindset and the psychology, and that's the part that's going to kill them. That's the part that's going to sort of stop them in their tracks, because the minute they start facing rejection, if they don't have the inner drive and the inner juice inside to keep them moving forward, even after they get told to piss off or no, or they get constant rejection, unfortunately they will just be spat right back out. And real estate is that kind of industry where 9 out of 10 people are no longer there after the first 12 months, because it's there's a lot of rejection that you've got to push through.
Exactly. Going through a lot of temporary defeats. That's right.
Cool. Now, on that note, obviously there's a lot of pitfalls. There's a lot of mistakes that people can make whilst they are pursuing their investing journey. What would you advise someone who's starting out in terms of pitfalls to avoid?
Yeah, sure. Yep. Well, there's a number of things I always see. So probably the biggest one, and the saying is, you make your money when you buy. The biggest one is paying too much for a property to start with. That's probably right up there. The amounts of time I make offer on a property, and if it's not accepted, I'm very reluctant to offer more if I know that potential profit might not be there anymore. So that's probably the biggest one. People are just paying too much to start with, and that often comes then down to they might not have done their proper due diligence and analyzed the deal to their full extent. Also, they might not have. The other thing I see is once you get into a deal and you purchase a property, you always want to know your exit strategies. You want to go through what happened what do I do if that happens, and always know that there are options for you. That's probably another really big one.
Oh, cool. They're the big ones actually, because like you said, you make money when you buy, and if you don't know what your exit is, or you don't know how you're going to get out of the deal when things go wrong, because things do go wrong. But unfortunately, people only look at the positives. They don't consider, all right, well, how much is this going to cost me if I have to offload it? If this deal doesn't go to, doesn't work out the way we intended, what happens next? And I find that that's a big area that people don't even consider when they're entering it. They're in that excited phase, and they're not really thinking about worst cases in that way. You know?
Yeah, that's right.
So, Robert, I know that you've been working with a lot of developers and a lot of investors over the years. You know, you've probably dealt with thousands of them, and you personally worked with hundreds of them. What do you find are the common patterns and the common characteristics and common traits amongst the successful ones as opposed to the unsuccessful ones?
Yep, sure. The biggest one is probably the successful ones. I've noticed they know exactly what kind of deal they're looking for. And if a deal is presented, they know that's a yes or a no in very, very short period of time. And if they make a decision, they stick to it. Like they can instantly make a decision on this is a deal, this is the deal I want, or it's not. So very decisive. What I've noticed with if a profit opportunity presents itself, people that might have not got the results they wanted, they're reluctant to make a decision. And then thereby the opportunity passes by. And who knows when the next opportunity comes up. So there's a missed opportunity in that sense. So the ones that are really successful, I noticed they know exactly what they want and they make a decision fast, and can look at a deal very, very quickly and know whether it's for them or not.
So they're very decisive.
Yes.
In your point of view. I agree with that, because there's a saying, you know, the successful people make decisions quickly and they change them rarely. And unsuccessful people make decisions slowly and they're constantly changing their mind. Yeah. And it's amazing when you see those patterns amongst people, because, you know, I agree with what you said. You know, when you know what you want and what your particular strategy is, then go after it, you know, and make sure you put the blinkers on and don't veer off from that strategy.
Exactly.
Now, I mean, I know this is sort of a little bit off, but how would someone know what the right strategy is?
Yeah, so that really comes down to assessing or looking at their own situation, maybe having a preference, learned about a certain strategy, and then just having the willingness to put it into practice and really just keep going until you succeed. That's probably
absolutely. No, cool. And again, you know, one of the things that we educate our clients on is that there's no one size fits all. You know, what might work for one person does not work for another. And in many cases, you got to look at what your capacity is. So in terms of how much can you borrow, how much money can you put in, what risk are you prepared to, you know, to take on? What's your risk tolerance? What kind of, you know, sweat equity are you prepared to put in? Because in some cases, if you're doing a renovation project, you got to be prepared to roll your sleeves up and get your hands dirty. Whereas if you just want your money to work for you, that's a different kettle of fish altogether. So when you know those characteristics of what's suitable for you, that's when someone can, you know, identify what's a suitable strategy for them. But it's unfair for you or I to tell the next person, no, you need to be doing a development, or you need to do, a renovation, or you need to do a buy and hold, because it doesn't work that way. You know, everyone's got a different capacity. And we need to understand that there's no one size fits all. It has to be tailor made to that individual.
That is right. And what I've noticed as well, most of my clients, they have their individual type of project that they do and repeat over and over, and everybody is really different in their space. And mastered a certain niche or a certain appetite for a particular development or renovation.
Yeah. Absolutely. And look, you know, we work in different areas of real estate. So you focus on development, I focus more on investments. And, you know, we find some synergies, obviously, along the way in some cases, because I've got clients who are probably more suited to do what you offer, and I lead my clients in that direction. And I know that you've led clients to me in the past who are not suitable for you. So it's not about trying to just push what you do onto everyone and trying to make it fit. It's trying to work out, okay, well, this is not suitable for what I offer. Maybe I can help you find that solution elsewhere, you know?
Yeah, correct. Yes.
Now, on that, one thing I wanted to pick out of this is to get some golden nuggets for our viewers, right? So someone who's watching this going, okay, well, Nidal and Robert have been in this industry for over 10 years now. They've been, working with developers, and they've been working with investors, and they've seen they've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. What are the golden nuggets that you could share that have changed your career and have allowed you to achieve success in what you're doing?
Yep. Yeah, one of the biggest one, and because when I first came to Adelaide, as I said, I had $3,500 in my bank account, no serviceability, no chance at getting a loan. But the basis of my business today was if I can secure a profitable opportunity, regardless of the purchase price, whether it's $200,000, $500,000, $1 million, $5 million, doesn't matter. If I can secure or identify, analyze and secure a profitable opportunity, I will always find someone who wants that deal. And that pretty much then takes that cap off you, where you go to the bank and, I can only borrow X. No, with that mentality or with that mindset, any deal is possible. And that really helped me from the start and still today.
That is very, very powerful, Robert. And I've got to say that's so true, because a lot of people only look at opportunities with their own blinkers on sometimes, in terms of what they can do, but they never think about what someone else could do. And I know a big part of your business and part of, how I've built up my portfolio initially was through doing no money down strategies, things like options, where you're able to take that deal and perhaps on sell it to someone else who can, or, find an opportunity at deal where you can get involved with it, but without necessarily you putting in the money or you getting the funding,
Correct.
Can you give us an example of how that works and how you've done that with other clients as well?
Yeah, sure. So I've, like the traditional way of selling property is a contract of sale, ideally from the agent's point of view, an unconditional contract. Now, over the years, I've done very different creative ways of acquiring properties, so be it property option, takeover deals, contracts with certain clauses. So very different ways of acquiring property. And that, like you say, that then enables someone who doesn't have the borrowing capacity, who might not have the money in the bank, to profit from real estate and property. And it's a fantastic starting point to build up your own wealth, and that enables you to do bigger things in real estate. Yeah,
absolutely. It takes the cap off. There's no ceiling anymore, because you could look at a $5 million deal or a $10 million deal or a $500,000 deal all in the same way, without you being, without the pressure being on you having to purchase and settle. And again, the reason why I wanted to do this education, this video, this interview, and this program in general is because I genuinely believe a lot of people out there don't know that there's opportunities in real estate where, even if they have no money to start with, because you and I both started with nothing to our name, basically. I remember when we were working at that investment firm, we were both pretty much starting out with $0, but yet we've been able to get involved in deals over the years. We've been able to, buy our own properties, eventually, and settle on them. But when we first started out, we were looking at creative strategies, and a lot of these creative strategies aren't, people may have heard about options, but they may not have heard about, a clause inside of a contract that allows them to on-sell that contract to someone else, or like I said, takeover deals, or whatever it may be. What would you advise someone who's hearing this for the first time, going, "Oh shit, I don't even know this is possible"? What would you say to them?
Oh, for sure. Like my biggest advice would be to seek out people that have specialized knowledge in an area that you want to grow into, and make contact, get in touch, see whether you can work closely with them and learn. That's probably the best way to get started.
Awesome. And speaking of specialized knowledge, I know that you've got specialized knowledge in the development space and in many facets of property, but particularly with finding off-market deals like you have been with our clients. If someone wanted to reach out to you and work with you, what would you advise them? Like, what are the steps to take in order to get in contact with you?
Yeah, sure. I've got a website I've got my contact details there. There's a couple of opportunities that I've done over the last couple of years to just look at. I would encourage, if this resonates, yeah, feel free to make contact. And there's different ways. That there's not just the clients I serve. I also have strategic people that I work with that help me find opportunities. Mm-hmm. And those people, obviously, they learn along the way because they're getting closely involved in deals. And to be honest, like for me, there's probably so many deals I could do, but I can't physically reach by myself because I just drive through the suburbs and I see opportunities everywhere. There's rundown houses literally everywhere. There's fantastic opportunities around, and I'm always open to work with other people to just make more opportunities available, which then helps more clients and everyone involved. Yeah.
That's awesome. And that's a sign of an abundance type of mentality, because I always talk about the difference between an abundant mentality or a scarce mentality, where a scarce mentality is someone that thinks, oh, I've got to keep this all secret and, I can't share this because there's only so much to go around. Whereas someone with an abundant mentality would go, well, you know what, there's more than enough to go around for everyone. And if I can, help others along the way, I know it's just going to come back to me in return. And I think one of the reasons why we've resonated over the years is we've just approached that we're both in the industry, we're both, do what we do, but we've never been afraid to work with each other or share with each other or do deals together, because, what goes around comes around, and there's enough to go around for everyone, basically.
That's right. Exactly.
So that's, no, look, I'm glad you touched on that. Look, as a result of someone watching this video and watching this interview, what actions, and this is obviously in kind of us wrapping up, what action would you encourage someone to take as a result of watching this video today? Yeah,
sure. Well, I would encourage everyone who resonates with what we've shared today, just maybe get in touch with us as a starting point. I'm always open to have a chat to anyone, and if I can help in any way, I will. And that's probably the best starting point.
Awesome. And I'm happy to share your details as well. So if anyone watching this that's a client of ours that wants an introduction to Robert, please feel free to reach out and let us know, and we can make that happen. So Robert, was anything else that you would like to add, or anything else you'd like to share with our viewers?
I just want to thank you for reaching out. I mean, this was just a phone call a couple of days ago, and today we're doing this interview, so I really thank you for that. Like you said, you're very a great guy and have an abundant mentality and love sharing, love helping people, which is the same what I do. So I really want to thank you for that.
Awesome. Thanks, Robert. Really appreciate it. And thank you once again for jumping on board and doing this interview on short notice. And to all of our viewers, I hope everyone's got a lot of value out of this. I know there's been a lot of golden nuggets that were planted in this interview, and I want to thank Robert for his generosity with the knowledge and what he's shared with us today. I personally know Robert on a very close level, and I've seen him at every seminar that I've been to over the years. I've seen him at education programs, at seminars, at courses, and I know he's invested a lot in his own self-education. And as a result, he's been able to take that education and back it up with action, and obviously turn that into a successful lifestyle for himself and his family. So again, if you got any value out of this, we do encourage you to, take some kind of baby step or some action, whether it be, picking up the phone and making a call, whether it be, putting in an inquiry, whether it's whatever the action may be, just start that process, because, when you start the momentum, it takes, a little bit of time and it'll build up. But then once you've got it going, there's no stopping it. So again, thanks again, Robert. Really appreciate
Thank you.
Thank you, Nidal. And to everyone that's watching, I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Thank you and have a great day.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.